Can I help you?
You're repairing Lyria's toy.
That's not just a toy, that's my daughter's future.
I believe you will.
He fixed a toy. Didn't know it belonged to the galaxy's most feared queen, HFY Sci-Fi. The small robot was broken, and I had no idea what I was about to do. My name is Marcus Reed, and I'm a technician. Not famous. Not important. Just someone who fixes things for people who need them fixed. The galaxy is full of people like me. We work quietly, solve problems, and expect nothing in return except fair payment and the satisfaction of work done well. The robot came to my lab on a Tuesday, brought by a courier who wouldn't explain where it came from. It was small, about the size of my hand, and glowing with blue holographic light. The tech inside was advanced. Very advanced. The kind of advanced that made me suspicious about what I was getting involved with. But it was just a toy, according to the paperwork. Broken toy. Fix it. Payment would be substantial. I got to work. The internal systems were elegant. Whoever designed this understood something fundamental about how technology and biology could interact. The holographic matrix was integrated with quantum processors in a way I'd only read about in theoretical papers. I spent 4 hours just studying how it was put together before I even attempted repairs. That's when the door opened. I didn't look up at first. I was focused on a particularly delicate junction point. But the air in the room changed, the way it does when something that commands absolute authority enters a space. I looked up and froze. The woman standing in my lab was pale-skinned with white braided hair and ice-blue eyes. She wore white armor embellished with sapphires that glowed with inner light. Behind her, a small green child watched me with innocent curiosity. I stood up carefully. "Can I help you?" "You're repairing Lyria's toy," the woman said. Not a question. A statement of fact delivered with the confidence of someone used to absolute obedience. "Yes," I said. "It should be done in a few hours." "I am Queen Isora of the Seventh Expanse," she said, and I felt my entire body go cold. "This is my daughter, Princess Lyria. That toy is not a toy. It's a quantum-entangled learning interface. If you fail to repair it correctly, you will have failed to repair the educational core of the heir to the most powerful throne in this sector." The heir. The princess. Queen Isora, the woman who had single-handedly defeated 3 rival empires without firing a shot, just by the threat of her presence. The woman whose name was whispered with fear across 1,000 worlds. Was standing in my lab. "I understand," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I'll get it right." "See that you do," she said. Then, to my surprise, she didn't leave. She stood there, watching. And after a moment, the princess came to stand beside me, her small hand resting on my shoulder. I went back to work. The pressure was immense. I'd never felt anything like it. But as I worked, something happened. I forgot that this was a queen's toy, a princess's education device. I forgot the weight of expectation. I just became focused on the problem in front of me. The quantum junction was damaged. The entanglement had fractured. I carefully rebuilt the matrix, recalibrating the frequency response, running diagnostics through the holographic interface. The princess watched intently, asking questions about what I was doing. I answered them simply, not talking down to her, just explaining my work. "Why does that piece go there?" she asked. "Because," I said, "that's where it receives the power and translates it into information that can be understood." "Like a translator?" she asked. "Exactly like a translator," I said. I glanced up at Queen Isora. Her expression hadn't changed, but something in her eyes had shifted. 3 hours later, I activated the device. The holographic matrix bloomed to life, perfect blue light forming shapes and patterns, the quantum systems humming with balanced energy. It was working. Better than working, it was perfect. "It's beautiful," the princess said, wonder in her voice. Queen Isora stepped forward and took the device, studying it with the care of someone examining the most precious thing in the universe. Which I realized it was. "You did not know who owned this," she said. "No, Your Majesty. The paperwork didn't. And you repaired it with the same care regardless," she said. "You did not rush. You did not cut corners. You treated my daughter's learning interface with the same respect you would give to the most important object in your own life." "It was important," I said simply. "It belonged to someone who matters." Queen Isora was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something I didn't expect. She smiled. "You know what humans are called in the galactic database, Marcus Reed? Death World species. Dangerous. Unpredictable. Expendable." She held up the repaired device. "But they don't capture the real human trait. The real trait is this: you treat every task, every person, every moment with absolute seriousness. You give your best work not because you're commanded to, but because it's in your nature." She placed the device gently in the princess's small hands. Lyria immediately activated it and began exploring the holographic displays. "The payment will be substantial," Queen Isora said. "But more importantly, you're being offered a position. Royal Technician. A position that has been empty for 3 years because I refuse to assign it to someone who won't treat my daughter's future with the respect it deserves." I looked at the princess, now completely absorbed in her learning interface, her eyes bright with wonder. "I'd be honored," I said. 3 years later, I was the most important technician in the 7th Expanse. Not because I was the most skilled, I wasn't. But because I understood something that Queen Isora valued above everything: the willingness to do the small things perfectly, because the small things shape the future. And the princess, now beginning her formal education, had a teacher who had learned from the finest example in the galaxy, a technician who understood that every task, no matter how small, deserved to be done with absolute care. Because you never know whose toy you're fixing.